I like Pokemon. A lot. Pokemon Silver was my first ever video game, alongside a lime green Game Boy Color for Christmas 2000. As time went on and more games came out, I became what you could call a competitive casual. I played them all, loving every battle as the number of Mons rose from a modest 251 to an insane 1,000 plus. Another interest I developed alongside that? Nuzlocks. In fact, my first 3 attempts are on this channel. After completing my most recent Brilliant Diamond Nuzlocke, I started thinking about what came next. I didn't think too hard before landing on another Nuzlocke. And so, I'll be attempting a hardcore Nuzlocke of the mainline series in release order, starting from Red and Blue and ending with Scarlet and Violet. I'm sure this has been attempted before, but I'll be doing things in that special Soul way. And since I'm doing this my way, I'm thinking of calling this a Sol-Locke. Maybe you guys can think of a better name. Let me know in the comments. This gauntlet has a pretty lengthy rule set. Do I need to explain them all now? Probably not. Will I do that anyway? The rules of a hardcore Nuzlocke are simple. Catch and nickname the first unique encounter in a new area. Skip an area if there's no eligible encounter. Battle with the style on set if possible. Curse you, Scarlet and Violet. Box anyone that faints. They're dead to you now. Employ level caps. Only use held items in battle. The soul-specific rules require you to ban the evolutionary lines of the party you enter the Hall of Fame with. Yep, even the branch evolutions. Sorry, Eevee. Think of it as the subsequent game gatekeeping the entire species to prevent their access. If someone faints during any of the 5 battles at the end, they're still banned if you beat the champion. If all 3 of your starters are banned when you start a later title, rush to catch a replacement starter. Fill your party up when you reasonably can. This will inevitably result in a lot of early game repeats across certain titles, until they get banned that is. That's okay. Try to plan your team ahead. When you know who you want to finish the game with, add them to your party as soon as they're caught. This way, you can't game the system by boxing them and keeping them safe behind fodder. If they die outside of the Pokemon League, your plan is ruined, but they do get to try again in another game. Shiny Claws bypasses restrictions. It's a shiny, you gotta catch it. And lastly, you're allowed to use 1 legendary at some point in the marathon. I haven't figured out when this would make the most sense to do, but I have some ideas. If you party wipe at any point, start that game over, and ban one of your party members at random for being bad at video games. Truth be told, I'm not so great at Nuzlocke that a challenge like this seems reasonable. My other runs are proof enough. I don't even have next level game knowledge to make battles super interesting. You know what I do have?
Cottage. That's adorable.
With the rules laid out and my courage on the line, it's time for this marathon to start in Pokemon Red version. After going through all the setup, we eventually get to choose our first partner for this marathon. It's Pokemon Red, so I go with Charmander. I name it Leon in honor of everyone's favorite Charizard user. Blue challenges us to a battle, and he gets a couple of crits, setting us up for defeat right out the gates. Instead of finishing us off, Blue throws for content, giving us our first W. The crits feel like a bad omen, but the pivot to Tail Whip feels like a really good one. Leanne and I head over to Viridian, grab Oak's parcel, deliver it, head back to Viridian, and finally obtain some Pokeballs. The Nuzlocke is officially on, and the first level cap is 14, so I get to catching. Our first new friend is Remy the Rattata on Route 1, in honor of the Rattata we lost in my very first Nuzlocke. On Route 22, I catch a Spearow and name it Dumburb. On Route 2, I catch a Weedle and dub him Big DB, because
everybody know that's Big Dick B.
Bees don't even have dicks, it's a stinger!
Yes, I'm going to say its full name every time. We get our first bit of grinding in ahead of a battle with Blue on Route 22. Big DB evolves into a Kakuna during the grind. With everyone at level 8, I challenge Blue. Remy leads against Blue's level 9 Pidgey. I start with Tail Whip to lower its defense and switch to Quick Attack, hoping for an easy KO. Gust initially hits for 8, which isn't too bad. Then Pidgey gets a crit on the second one, because of course it does. At 2 HP, I switch into Leon. We trade gusts and scratches back and forth, and Leon gets dropped into crit range. I may have gotten better at playing it safe, but I still can't help but be a risk taker. I go for scratch, get the crit, but it still doesn't KO. Gust connects, and we live with 2 HP left. I unclench my cheeks and knock it out with one final scratch. Blue Squirtle is next. I immediately switch into Big DB and try to poison it with Poison Sting. Squirtle uses a random combination of Tackle, Tail Whip, and Bubble to chip away at us, but we eventually get the poison off. I switch into Dumburb to clean up, and eventually the battle is won. There was no reason for our second rival battle to be that tense, but that's life, I guess. After a quick heal, we head through Viridian Forest, decimating the bug catchers. I make it to the end of the forest and found only Weedle and Kakuna. I know there's a chance to find Caterpie, Metapod, and Pikachu, so I decide to heal in Pewter City and come back for the encounter. Eventually we find a Metapod, which, being a Metapod, only knows Harden. I name it Butters, another callback to the Blue Run, and we resume the grind. Since it only knows Harden, I switch train it till it evolves, going for Confusion when it evolves. Except it doesn't do that in Gen 1. Big DB also evolves into its final, hung form. Sorry. We continue switch training until Butters learns Confusion at level 12. Everyone trains up to level 14, Leon defeating the gym trainer as part of its training, and with everyone at the cap, Brock is on the chopping block. Without a single super effective move to battle the defensive Geodude and Onix, one would assume that I'm shit out of luck. Fortunately for us, the special stat covered both special attack and defense in Gen 1, and Geodude and Onix both have awful special stats. Leon is able to take Geodude out with a couple embers, taking only 12 points of damage. After this KO, Leon levels up to 15, something I intentionally set up to gain as much of an advantage as possible for Onix. With Onix out, I resume the embers. Onix goes for Bide, which returns the damage the user takes while it charges up. I go for Growl during the charge time to render the move useless. When the Bide fails, I go for Ember again. Onix's tackle hits for a pitiful 3, but then it goes for Screech, sharply lowering our defense. I switch into Butters to avoid the risks of the defense drop. I guess the blue battle earlier scared some sense into me. Onix starts Bide, so I use Harden to time it out. When the Bide fails, I use Confusion and end the battle. A really strong performance despite the bad matchup. With the Boulder Badge in tow, the level cap jumps up to 21. We head over to Route 3 and battle the trainers there. Leon evolves into Charmeleon, and we catch a Pidgey for our Route 3 encounter, instead of claiming the Magikarp. We name the Pidgey Pidge, because I am for the most part still not very good at nicknames. Admittedly, this little guy isn't here to be much besides fodder for the time being. Inside Mount Moon, the team gets more battles in and we catch a Zubat that we name Bruce, a reference to the Dark Knight. I don't use the Zubat line much, but Crobat can be a powerhouse in Nuzlocke as well, so Bruce won't get any use this time. The trainers and Team Rocket members aren't much of a challenge, until we get to this guy. If you watched my first Nuzlocke, I know you didn't, it's okay, I still love you, then you know that this grunt right here is packing far more power than one should expect at this stage of the game. He will run right through you with a level 16 Raticate if you aren't prepared. Just ask old Butters, and Remy, and G, who didn't die, but definitely suffered PTSD after nearly being taken as well. I'm prepared this time, and even though I don't have to, I have to, you know? So I lead with Butters, take a tackle, miss a poison powder, and nearly get taken out by a Hyper Fang before paralyzing with Stun Spore. Cool. I switch into the big DB and get dropped to about half from Quick Attack. Paralysis is proving useless as Quick Attack connects again and lowers us to 12. And our Fury Attack misses. I switch to Remy, and the Raticate goes for a Tail Whip Quick Attack combo, lowering us to 12 again before our Hyper Fang connects. I bring out Leon to clean up, with Raticate at about half. It uses the Tail Whip Quick Attack combo again, but 2 Embers finish the job. I hate this guy. I take a Helix Fossil for my troubles and bounce. With Mount Moon behind us, I quickly catch an Ekans on Route 4 and name it Ka. Any Jungle Book enjoyers out there? I've never used one before, ever, so Pidge gets boxed for Ka, and I train it up before another Tangle with Blue. Ka knows Wrap, an absolutely busted move that locks an enemy down completely in this generation, which I'm sure will come in clutch many times down the road. Everyone hits level 19, and I head over to battle our buddy Blue. Dumber bleeds against Pidgeotto. Peck and Gust do a decent chunk each, but a Quick Attack brings us into crit range. I decide to play around the crit this time and switch into Big DB, who takes the Gust well. Pidgeotto starts blinding the ever-loving shit out of us with Sand Attack, and eventually I stop connecting with Poison Sting. I switch into Butters after getting lowered to 18 HP and finish this nuisance off with 2 Confusion. Abra is up next, who only knows Teleport. I bring Ka out to one-shot it with a critical bite, and defeat Rattata with 2 bites after being lowered to half. Squirtle is finally out, and I decide to lock it down for a few turns with Wrap. Knowing that as long as you're faster you can stop somebody from acting for the rest of the battle is too good to be true. There's no way I lose with this strategy, right? It goes down and the battle is over. The team is healed up and we take on the Nugget Bridge challenge. It goes swimmingly and we make it to Route 25 without issue. I find and catch our next encounter here, an Oddish. I gotta come up with a good name for this one at least. Perfect. On the way to Bill, Dumburb evolves into Fearow and Remy evolves into Eradicate. We quickly help Bill sort out his fetish gone wrong and get an SS ticket. I decide to box Remy in exchange for Weed here, since there will be many chances to use Eradicate going forward, and we really need the coverage to battle Misty. Everyone trains up to the cap, Weed defeats the gym trainers, evolves into Gloom, and we challenge Misty. With Weed in tow, Misty is ridiculously easy to defeat. Misty starts by using Next Defend on Staryu, and I take it out with 3 absorbs, taking next to no damage and leveling up to 22. The ace, Starmie, comes out next. I try to go for Sleep Powder while it slowly whittles away at us with Tackle, and switch into Big DB when I finally get Starmie to sleep. Big DB starts hammering it with Twin Needle, even after Misty pops another X Defend halfway through. Have to really enjoy the cakewalks when we can have them. The level cap makes a smaller leap to 24, so we'll have to be a bit mindful of our levels ahead of our battles on the SSN. Before that though, we have to apprehend a Team Rocket Grunt who's stolen a TM that we won't be returning when we recover it. The Grunt isn't much of a problem, with a Machop and a Drowsy that we handle well enough with Leon. Leon definitely didn't nearly faint. We hoof it through the underground path to Route 6. We actually have no valid encounter here without a rod, so we beat the trainers and carry on. We can come back later if we want to, with a rod on hand. There are a ton of trainers on the SSN, and I have to battle all of them, battle junkie that I am. They're defeated without issue. Ka ends up evolving into an Arbok, and eventually we get to battling our rival again. Now that more of the team has evolved, the battles against Blue are getting easier. Ka destroys Pidgeotto with a combination of Wrap and Bite, repeats the process against Eradicate, definitely murdered it, and then we switch into Dumburb after taking a Confusion from Kadabra. Dumburb also gets hammered by Confusion, but a couple pecks finish it off. Finally, Weed bullies Wartortle with Absorb and the battle is won. We grab the HM for Cut and see the ship off. I teach Cut to Big DB since there aren't many moves it's learning on its own anyway, and I teach Ka how to dig for coverage against the Electric Gym. Ka tears through the gym trainers, and after far more time than necessary, I find both switches and open the doors to Lieutenant Surge, the Lightning American. With Dig, Ka has absolutely no problem defeating Voltorb, who gets an X speed boost and misses Sonic Boom while we're underground. Pikachu misses a Thunder Wave the same way and dies to Dig, and Raichu suffers the same fate after an X speed and a missed Thundershock. I think I love Arbok. The level cap increases a few more levels to 29, and we have a long road ahead of us before we reach the 4th gym in Celadon. The team gets training in on Route 11. We head through Diglett's Cave, grab the HM for Flash, pick up an old Amber that we might restore on Cinnabar Island, and head over to Cerulean to get to the Rock Tunnel. Now at this point, no one in our main team can learn Flash, which you can use to head through the Rock Tunnel. I caught an Abra named Spoons, and a Voltorb named Dekunut along the way, both of whom can learn Flash, but they're not going to be mainstays on the team this time around, which means I go through Rock Tunnel without it. This tunnel kind of kicks my ass. No one dies, but we get low and get poisoned as we take on the trainers. I had to backtrack at least once when I ran out of healing items. On the other side of the tunnel, we battle the trainers and finally arrive in creepy old Lavender Town. I head into the tower after healing and get our battle with Blue out of the way. Dumburb and Pidgeotto start things off, and Dumburb takes Pidgeotto out with 2 critical pecks. Blue sends out his new Growlithe, and I switch into Ka, who knocks it out with Dig after Growlithe attempts and fails to use Roar. I switch into Big DB to cook some Execute with Twin Needle, and do the same to Kadabra. I keep Big DB in to battle Wartortle, and do good damage with some Twin Needle attacks until we're crit by Bite. I switch into Dumburb and knock it out with a crit peck after taking a crit bubble. The amount of crits in this leg so far has been obscene. I'm saying crit so often that it's starting to sound weird. Crit. Crit. We can't go any farther into the tower without the Sylph Scope, so we head to Route 8 and defeat the trainers there. Taking the underground path leads us to Route 7, and after that, Celadon City. A lot is happening here. A gym, a criminal enterprise, a new encounter, and the solution to our gate guard problem. I start with the gym. Celadon's gym uses the grass type, and everything in our party has some kind of edge here. We defeat the trainers here for training, and challenge Erica after Leon and Dumburb reach the level cap. Erica leads with a Victory Bell, so I start with Dumburb. We just barely miss the KO with a crit peck, and then we're locked down by a crit wrap. It doesn't last too long, so we're able to pick up the KO with a second peck. Tangela comes out next, so I switch into Leon. This time we're locked down by Bind, which is doing next to nothing. After that ends, we KO with a total of 3 Ember. Leon and Dumburb level up to 30, all according to plan. Vileplume comes out last, so I start with the Embers. Mega Drain does 18 damage due to a crit, and I return fire with Ember. This time it goes for Petal Dance and drops us to 19 HP with yet another goddamn crit. I switch into Butters, who quad resists the Petal Dance and knocks the Vileplume out with 2 confusion attacks. The level cap takes a massive leap up to level 43, the level of both Koga and Sabrina's aces. They were designed to be battled interchangeably, but I'll go in the normal order. Before that though, we have to deal with a little group called Team Rocket. Butters has proven to be a reliable ally, but we're getting to a point where type diversity will be more important. So I decide to box it and head to the top of the Celadon Apartments, pick up an Eevee, and name it Aquafina. I wonder what I'm going to evolve it into. Yeah, I head to the department store and pick up a Leaf and Waterstone. I evolve Aquafina into a Vaporeon, but hold off on evolving Weed. I want Weed to learn Petal Dance before I evolve it, since I can't remember if Vileplume learns it or not, and I couldn't be bothered to look it up. I'm a good trainer, yeah! The team is set in stone at this point, just a couple of evolutions away from being fully realized. I grab some drinks at the top floor for the kid nearby to get some really good TMs. Ice Beam, which I teach to Aquafina, Rock Slide, and Tri Attack. I then make my way into the bowels of the game corner, taking on the grunts and spinning floor tiles along the way. None of the grunts are a challenge, so I'm hoping their leader is a bit more fun. Giovanni leads with an Onix, and I mistakenly led with Big DB. I switch into Weed and polish it off with one Mega Drain. Up next is Rhyhorn, also dispatched with one Mega Drain. Giovanni sends out a Kangaskhan last. I use Sleep Powder to get the free switch into Ka, and start locking it down with Wrap. I feel bad as Ka rings to life from this creature, but not bad enough to stop. I switch to Body Slam partway through, but it doesn't finish the job, so I go back to Wrap, which crits, and ends the battle. He's mad, but relents and gives us the Sylph Scope. We dig our way up through several basement floors, make sense of that, and heal up before going back to Lavender Town. With the Sylph Scope, we can now see the ghosts for what they really are and climb the tower to the top. For some reason, in Gen 1 only, Bug is super effective against poison and isn't resisted by Ghost. Big DB has a field day as we exercise the channelers, who only use Ghastly and Haunter. This is good information to have on hand for later. We make it to the Restless Ghost guarding the top floor, who is revealed to be the Marowak mother that was killed by Team Rocket. Say what you will about this generation, but I don't think any of the future teams reached the same level of tangible villainy as the Rockets did. Maybe Team Plasma, but I digress. Weed calms Marowak down with a couple Mega Drain, we remove the Rockets, and save Mr. Fuji. As thanks, he gives us the Poke Flute and we're able to proceed. Since I need to get the HM for Fly in the same direction, I decide to go to the Snorlax blocking off Route 16 and the cycling path, and catch this as my encounter for Route 16. Snorlax does not make this easy, nearly killing Ka and Weed before staying in a Great Ball. I nickname it Sleep God, but I don't plan on using Snorlax yet, so it'll stay in the box in case things go wrong with the main squad. With the cycling path open, I use the bikers there to get some training in as we head to Fuchsia City. After getting to Fuchsia, I go to the Safari Zone to grab the gold teeth for the Warden and the HM for Surf. I return the teeth to the Warden and get the HM for Strength. On the routes between Lavender and Fuchsia, there are a lot of trainers that can be battled, so the team starts with them to get their training done. Leon evolves into Charizard after taking out the trainers on routes 12 to 15, but the team still isn't close to the cap. At this point, I decide to do something a bit different for me. I usually challenge Koga's gym and then go to Sylph, but stopping the Rocket Invasion there will provide experience and minimize the need to grind before challenging either gym. With this plan in mind, I head over to Saffron City. Before I dismantle their operation, I head to the Fighting Dojo and Dumburb sweeps the room. The Rockets continue to be a pushover, except for a couple of self-destruct scares, so I make it to blue without much delay. Dude was in here waiting for me instead of trying to stop the takeover. Kinda sus. He's a lot stronger than he was last time we battled, leading with a Pidgeot. I lead with Ka and deal big damage with Rock Slide, and finish it with Body Slam after taking minimal damage from Wing Attack. Growlithe is up next, but a Surf from Aquafina one-shots it. Execute sets up Reflect as I switch into Leon. I take it out with 2 Embers as it misses Hypnosis. Blue sends out Alakazam, easily his scariest Pokemon now. I almost OHKO with Slash, but finish it off with a second after taking a Confusion. Blue finally sends out Blastoise, and Weed trades blows with it. Even with Mega Drain, the level difference has Blastoise outpacing us, so I switch into Ka and wrap it into submission. Body Slam barely misses the KO, but does paralyze it. Blastoise uses one last bubble before one final Body Slam finishes it off. Up next is another weak grunt, and finally, Giovanni. This time the mob boss leads with Nidorino, and I led with Weed, but immediately switch into Big DB. Giovanni uses a guard special to negate stat reductions or something, but I don't really care as we hammer Nidorino with Twin Needle. Its Horn Attack does a small bit of damage before we get the KO. Kangaskhan is out and I switch to Leon. Khan locks itself into Rage, and I set up Swords Dance before using Slash. Even with the boost and a crit, we do under half, so I use Swords Dance again. Slash still fails to KO, but a third one knocks it out. Rhyhorn is sent out next, so I switch into Weed and KO with Mega Drain after taking a Horn Attack. Last is Nidoqueen. I put it to sleep with Sleep Powder after missing once and switch into Aquafina. Surf almost one-shots, but Nidoqueen sleeps through the entire battle and gets polished off with Ice Beam. We get a Master Ball from the President of Sylph and head back to Fuchsia. After battling the gym trainers, there's still room to grow, so the team grinds on Route 18. Here's where I mess up. I accidentally level Ka up to 44 past the cap of 43, meaning that Ka is unusable until we defeat Sabrina. On the bright side, we can battle Koga and Sabrina back to back, so Ka isn't out of commission for long. Ka would have been a boon in the battle with Koga though, since it knows Dig. Weed learns Petal Dance during the grind, so I finally use the Leaf Stone and evolve it into Vileplume. The team is finally at its full power, so I decide to visit Koga. Knowing that Poison is weak to Bug in this gen, I lead with Big DB. Big DB just barely misses the Oko on Koga's lead coughing, but we're able to pick it up on turn 2 despite getting hit with Smokescreen. Muck is next, and I go for Pin Missile, which misses. Muck then uses Minimize. Shit. Twin Needle misses this time, and Muck fails on Poison Gas. Twin Needle connects this time and almost KOs, but Muck uses Minimize again. Thankfully, Twin Needle hits its mark and Muck is down. Another coughing is sent out, and I decide to switch into Leon to eliminate those accuracy drops. Leon is also blinded by Smokescreen though. Welp. I stay in and go for Slash. It connects and does over half with a crit. Koga uses an X attack, but a second Slash gets the KO. Up next is Weezing. I know that Weezing carries self-destruct, so I send out Aquafina, our bulkiest member. We're poisoned by Smog, but I'm able to return big damage with Surf. Koga uses another X attack, so I'm able to defeat it with another Surf. With the level cap unchanged, I go straight to the Saffron City gym. I fumble with the teleporter since I couldn't remember the correct tiles, but get there eventually. The Psychic type is also weak to Bug, so I lead with Big DB against Sabrina's Kadabra. Twin Needle one-shots, and Big DB levels up to 44. Mr. Mime also goes down in one hit, and Venomoth comes out, just barely hanging on. It uses Leech Life, which doesn't do much, so we're able to KO on the next turn. Last is Alakazam. I make the risky decision to stay in, and it uses Reflect, buffing its defense. Twin Needle doesn't do nearly as much because of this, but it does poison. I decide to switch into Aquafina to avoid taking massive damage from a Psychic type attack, but it tried to use Reflect again. Okay. One Surf and Chip damage finishes the job, netting us the win. The level cap increases finally, to 47. Not much room again, but there isn't much to do between here and the Cinnabar gym. We head to Pallet Town and surf down to Cinnabar Island. Since the gym is locked, we head through the Pokemon Mansion and grab the key and get a lore dump on Mew and Mewtwo. We accidentally kill our Ponyta encounter with a crit here, but that doesn't matter anymore. Our team is solid. The team gets some more training in, first defeating the gym trainers, and then everyone trains in the mansion except Weed, who trains on the swimmers on Route 19 and 20. The Fire-type Blaine is a joke of a battle with Aquafina and Ka on our team. Aquafina actually just one-shots the entire team with Surf. Rapidash outspeeds and goes for Growl. Real effective use of your one chance. And Arcanine gets a crit takedown, which does bring us to half, but means nothing in the face of our overwhelming power. The level cap increases to 50 this time, and the only thing left to do is challenge the gym, so the team gets to training. First we take out the gym trainers, who use a combination of normal, fighting, ground, and poison type Pokemon. It's really diverse for a ground type gym, I like it. In order to reach the level cap, everyone trains at the mansion again, but Weed trains in the Seafoam Islands this time. Since Aquafina and Weed are the crux of this battle, I head over and challenge the mysterious gym leader once they hit the cap. The final gym leader is Giovanni. Even if I had never played this before, I'd know it's Giovanni. There's no reason why you couldn't figure out it's Giovanni. Now I'm saying Giovanni too much and it's sounding weird. The gym leader leads with a Rhyhorn and I send Weed out to start. Weed uses Mega Drain and Rhyhorn is done. Dugtrio is next, which outspeeds us and uses Sand Attack. Mega Drain doesn't miss though, so it's bye-bye Dugtrio. Nidoqueen is up next, so I switch to Aquafina. That guy uses a guard special and I one-shot with Surf. Nidoking is sent out and it also gets ended by Surf. Finally, the leader sends out Rhydon and it is also felled by Surf. We finally have all 8 badges and can challenge the Elite Four. Lorelei's ace is level 56 and the champion's ace is level 65, meaning we have a median level of 60 for our final level cap. Blue wants to battle us one last time before making the challenge himself. I'm more than happy to oblige. He leads with Pidgeot and I lead with Ka, just like last time. Rock Slide does just as much damage, and Pidgeot starts spamming Agility. I finish it off with Body Slam. Up next is a Rhyhorn. I switch into Weed, and this cheeky guy tries to use Horn Drill to Oko. It fails, and I Oko with Mega Drain instead. Growlithe is up next, so I send out Aquafina to drown this puppy with Surf. Execute is next, and paralyzes Leon with Stun Spore when I switch in. It then starts to charge a Solar Beam while we're fully paralyzed. It hits for nothing damage on the next turn, and we scorch it with Flamethrower. The menacing Alakazam is up next, and it nearly one-shots us with a crit Psybeam while we're fully paralyzed again. I switch into Dumburb, who takes under half from Psybeam, but we're definitely in crit range now. I switch into Aquafina, and Alakazam uses Reflect. It tries to use Reflect again, deja vu, and we do just over half with Surf. It uses Psybeam and confuses us, causing us to hit ourselves. It then uses Recover, almost full HP again, but Surf connects and lowers it back to where it was. Alakazam then uses Psychic and drops us to 80 HP. Aquafina snaps out of confusion and gets the KO with Surf. Alakazam is a problem. Finally, Blastoise is up. I switch into Weed, who takes a Bite Attack well. A second Bite Attack connects and we answer with Mega Drain, healing up nearly to full. Blastoise bites again, but we KO with a crit Petal Dance for the win. He screws off to the league after saying we need more practice, as if we didn't just win 6-0. The only obstacle standing between us and the league is the Victory Road, so we make our way through. I use Max Repels to speed the trek up as much as possible, since I know that this is the team I want to challenge the league with anyway. The trainers here provide good XP, but we're still a ways off the cap, so we get to grinding. Victory Road is actually awful for training, so I head to Seafoam in the mansion again. I make sure I grab the TM for Earthquake from Sylph, which I completely forgot about at the time of the invasion, and teach it to Leon. Everyone eventually hits level 60, and I'm feeling confident about this. Our team has perfect coverage for the league, and we've been deathless for the entire leg up to this point. Nothing for it but to try. The strategy for Lorelei is straightforward. Just brute force through with super effective moves. Weed leads against Dugong. After one Mega Drain, Dugong uses Rest. While it's sleeping, I take it out with 2 more Mega Drain. Cloyster is next. Mega Drain drops it to a third, and it returns fire with Aurora Beam. One more Mega Drain finishes it off. I stay in to deal with Slowbro, getting a crit on Mega Drain and nearly one-shotting it. Slowbro sets up Amnesia and is finished off by a second Mega Drain. When Jinx is out, I switch to Leon. Ice Punch hits super effectively because apparently my fire typing doesn't matter. I get the KO with Flamethrower. Lapras is sent out last. I switch to Ka, who takes Body Slam really well. I then start the Wrap shenanigans. When Lapras is around half, I use Rock Slide and finish it off. That's one down, no losses. I suspect the Fighting-type Bruno is going to be the easiest battle in this leg, with Dumburb on our side. I lead with Dumburb and Bruno leads with Onix. Whoops, I didn't forget that he has Onix, I just forgot that it's his lead, honest. I switch into Weed to Mega Drain any damage it might take on the switch. Rage does literally 4 points of damage, and Mega Drain one-shots. Hitmonchan comes out next, so I bring Dumburb back out. Bruno uses an X Defend, and I go for Drill Peck. The boost saves it, and it goes for Counter. Dumburb is gonna die, this is it. It's the beginning of our downfall. Wait. It missed? It missed! A second Drill Peck seals the deal. Hitmonlee is third and goes down to 1 Drill Peck. The second Onix is called out, and I mistakenly use Drill Peck. It does about as much as the super effective Rock Throw, though. I switch into Weed and pick up the KO with Mega Drain. The Ace Machamp is sent out, and I bring Dumburb back out, who dodges the Fissure. Machamp can be taught Fissure in Gen 1. Huh. Drill Peck is a clean one-shot, and Bruno is down for the count. Agatha seems like she should be tough, but with Big DB, Ka, and Leon all packing super effective moves, I'm not worried. I lead with Big DB against her first Gengar. Twin Needle deals about half, and Gengar tries to use Dream Eater while we're awake. I switch to Pin Missile hoping the multi-hit will be enough to KO, but miss and get confused by Confuse Ray. I try it again, but it only hits twice, missing the KO. We get hit by Nightshade. Gengar finally goes down to Twin Needle on the next turn. Agatha sends out Golbat, so I switch into Ka. We're immediately hit by Confuse Ray and hit ourselves on our first attempt. Golbat uses Haze, which seems to cure us, so Ka is able to hit with Rock Slide. Golbat continues using Haze, so another Rock Slide KOs. Haunter is next and is defeated with Dig. Her Arbok also goes down to Dig. Agatha's final Gengar is sent out. It tries to use Toxic but fails, and we use Dig. Gengar uses Confuse Ray while we're underground, and we one-shot it on the resurface. Another member crushed. Lance's Dragon and Flying type team is going to be no problem between Rock Slide and Ice Beam, so I lead with Ka to face off against Gyarados. Our first Rock Slide does over half, and Gyarados just goes for Leer. A second Rock Slide gets the KO. Up next is Dragonair. I switch into Aquafina. Dragonair misses Slam, so I'm able to set up Acid Armor. Hyper Beam connects for little damage after the boost, and I return fire with Ice Beam, one-shotting. Another Dragonair goes down to Ice Beam. Aerodactyl is next. It uses Hyper Beam to no avail and is KO'd by Surf. Finally, Dragonite is sent out. I use Ice Beam and the battle is over. Only the champ remains. With the general ease of our rival battles up to this point, I'm not worried at all to battle Blue here, even with his level increases. Ka takes on Pidgeot to start, with Rock Slide doing as much damage as always. Pidgeot uses Mirror Move, returning Rock Slide for much less. A second Rock Slide nabs the KO. The only major threat, Alakazam, is sent out next. I'm unsure of what to do at first, so I stay in and try to use Wrap. Alakazam outspeeds and sets up Reflect, and Wrap misses. Shit. I switch into Dumburb, who takes just under half from Psychic, but his special falls. Oh crap. I switch into Aquafina, and Alakazam uses a failed Reflect. What is it about the code that makes them do this? It uses Reflect again, and I use Surf, dealing more than half. Alakazam uses Recover, and I continue to hit with Surf. It switches to Psybeam, dealing little damage, and Surf finally knocks it out. Rhydon is sent out next, meaning Aquafina gets a free KO with Surf. Arcanine also gets delivered on a silver platter. It outspeeds and uses Takedown, which misses before going down. Executor is sent out. I stay in and use Ice Beam, dealing around half, and taking a Stomp. I send Leon out next, avoid a Barrage, and kill with Flamethrower. The final opponent of this leg is next. Blastoise comes out. I'm thinking that Leon will take a Water move well with a good special stat, or Hydro Pump will straight up miss if it knows it, so I use a Swords Dance. Mistake number 1. Ignoring the bad matchup. Hydro Pump connects and brings us down to 54 HP. I switch into Weed. Blastoise reveals it knows Blizzard, but it misses on the switch. I go for Mega Drain after some deliberation. Blastoise outspeeds, and the Blizzard connects this time. Mistake number 2. Ignoring the super effective coverage move. It gets a crit and one-shots Weed. Are you kidding me? Our first death, and on the literal final opponent of the leg? I bring Ka out next, looking to immobilize it with Wrap. It's going well so far. We've chipped it down to just over half until we finally miss. Mistake number 3, relying on a gimmick with less than perfect accuracy. Hydro Pump connects, and... crit! Ka is down. No way. No freaking way. Is this how we wipe? On the last hurdle? I decide to send in Big DB, the only member left that had full health. I go for Twin Needle, hoping to poison. We don't get it, and Blastoise connects with Hydro Pump. We're down to 42 HP. I use Twin Needle again, and despite the crit, just miss the KO. Blue uses a full fucking restore. Mistake number 4. Forgetting that
you don't get to be champion of the Pokemon League without knowing how to spam full restores.
Our last Twin Needle connects, dealing around a quarter, and Bite KOs Big DB. I send out Dumburb and go for Drill Peck. It does good damage. Blastoise is down to a third. Mistake number 5 though, which is just mistake number 2. I ignored the coverage move again. Blizzard connects, and Dumburb is down. I'm in shock. My brain is fried. I send out Leon again. Why? I don't know. Just call it mistake number 6. I use Flamethrower and get a burn off. Blastoise's Hydro Pump misses. The burn damage allows for one final Flamethrower to finish it off. This leg is officially complete, but at what cost? Blue whines, and Oak sings our praises, but I'm numb. I'm reading the text, but I'm not registering anything. I'm just thinking of the fallen. And then they scroll across the screen as they're entered into the Hall of Fame. Ka, Dumburb, Big DB, and Weed, all taken out by an opponent we laughed at as a weakling until now. Looks like that bad omen we felt in our first battle really came to pass. But the league was beaten, and that means we can move on to the next leg of this challenge in Pokemon Blue. Back to where my Nuzlocke career began. The Charmander, Weedle, Spearow, Ekans, Oddish, and Eevee lines are now all officially banned. Stay tuned for the next episode. Just for fun, do you want to see how I should have handled that to end the leg deathless? Use Aquafina on Blastoise. That was all. The entire battle could have gone the exact same way, but if I used Aquafina at the end, I would have won with no casualties. The one Mon my brain was filtering out when the team was getting butchered. So I'm a dumbass is all. See you in Blue version. Bye.